I'm Radhika Gupta, and I'm one of the directors on the individual philanthropy team at Pratham USA. I'm based in the Bay Area, but I'm dialing in from New Jersey for this week. Excited to see everybody here. I know many who couldn't join today have eagerly requested for a recording to be shared with them. We always try to navigate multiple time zones, and we always face challenges with that. So a lot of people can't make it. But it's also very heartwarming to see that this topic has really resonated with a lot of people, the topic of moms and early childhood education. Before we kick off, I'd like to wish all the moms here joining us today a very happy Mother's Day and weekend. I hope you have excited stuff planned with your family. With Mother's Day coming up this weekend, we thought there was no better time to deep dive into why Pratham has such focused efforts on engaging and equipping mothers, in particular with the tools to support their child's learning and development, as well as how Pratham does it, our unique and innovative methods, and then we'll finally be able to have a chance to see it all in action through a really exciting case study from our community. Before I invite our speakers for today, just some housekeeping notes. We do have a dedicated time at the end of the webinar for Q&A. But if you have immediate questions as we are going through the presentation, please don't hesitate to drop your questions in the chat box and we'll address those during the Q&A. And with that, I'm delighted to hand things over to our two presenters today, Smitin Brid and Samyukta Subramanian, both of whom are joining us from India right now. I know they're both on the road and doing field visits. So thank you both so much. Smitin and Samyukta are both co-heads of Pratham's Early Years program. And with that, I'd like to invite both of them to start the presentation.
Hello everyone. I'll just begin by sharing screen. But before that, Smitin and I look after the early years team here across different states in India in partnership with governments, partnering with teachers, communities, and very happy to be here to share a little around that with you. Smitin has been with Pratham since, I think, almost since inception, about 25 years. I've been here for about 15 years, and we are both in the early years team. So as I begin, just a little more around what we mean by early years. So when we say early years, we mean pre-primary and grades 1 and 2. So that's children going to preschool, and that's about 3 years of preschool, and then entering formal school, which is grades 1 and 2. So Pratham has been working with preschool children for more than 20 years now. But the exciting part of this journey is that now a lot of policy documents across India actually talk about the foundational stages. So they've clubbed preschool and grades 1 and 2 together. And there's this huge impetus to say, let's work on the early years so that children get their concepts, their foundations built really strong right now. And so that they don't have to struggle later in school or fall behind or fall out. And so, for instance, the National Education Policy, which came out in 2020, for the first time, instead of beginning with children in grades 1 and 2, actually began with the preschool years and said that the first 5 years, that is preschool and grades 1 and 2, are the most important and we need to pay attention to it. Based on that, there were a lot of goals written out there, timelines, saying the highest priority must be foundational literacy and numeracy. There's a Nipun Bharat document based on the National Education Policy, which says children need to know how to do the basics, reading and basic math by the end of grade 3. So these are exciting times for us in these early years. And we've been working with teachers and parents to look at what learning in the early years looks like. So today we'll be focusing more on what we do with parents and communities, and especially mothers. And this is our tribute to mothers for Mother's Day. So I'm going to share some stories, and Smitin is going to share some stories. So my story begins with a Mela, which is like a school readiness fair. And many of you may be familiar with this. We have Melas all the time, and they can often be great fun. So we're using this familiar format to talk about learning in the early years. So let's go across to Dausa in Rajasthan. It's a hot afternoon, and we're getting ready to set up this mela or the fair, and everyone's invited. And there are invitations that are going out. So there are posters put up in the village. There's an invitation. This invitation is more like a wedding card. So remember, in a wedding, you invite your family, you invite your friends, you invite your neighbors, and then some people stop by, really curious to see what's happening. So everyone's invited to this fair. There's just one condition, that the person who comes to the fair has to be a mother with her child who's going to enter grade 1. So everyone's welcome to watch and participate, but the people who actually are the stars of the mela are the mother and the child. And so here you can see, we've tried to find space here in the community, and we went to the headman or the sarpanch of the village, and we asked him for some space. So he's given his house, and there's a long veranda here, and you can see booths or stalls set up for each activity or each thing that's going to happen in the mela. And we've mobilized people from the village to help us to organize this mela. So there are volunteers here who are learning how and what they need to do at every table. Now, everyone's waiting for everyone to act on the invitation and people to come by. And here we have our first mother. You can't really see her face, but she's right there registering her child and telling us about which class the child is in. And there's here, everyone said, you know, in this particular village, they said we should also check the weight and the height. So we said, fine, we can do that. And then we move on to the next table. Here you can see more and more mothers arriving. There's a sarpanch who gave us his house. He's here. He's wondering, you know, how he's going to take out the time to be part of this mela, because he has such a busy schedule. And let's see if he stays with us till the end of the mela. So here we are, the first stall, the first table, this child who's being asked if she can walk on a curving line. You can see another picture here where the sarpanch is watching very closely, and he thinks every child in his village should be learning, should be knowing how to walk. So he's trying to help this child out here. We move to the next table. Now you can see a little bit of the mother's face. She's smiling. And here you have to do some paper folding activities. So children with any newspaper or any local resources available, they need to make something with their little fingers to see what, whether it could be a boat, it could be a flower, but they need them, we need them to make something out of this paper. Everyone, you can see lots of older kids, different kids, all watching what's happening, what's all the noise about. Here we have some potatoes and onions, and the potatoes and the onions need to be separated from each other. We need to see if this child can do it. There are some big stones that have to be separated from small stones. We sometimes have sticks that need to be placed in order. And you could have a complex version. So here there's a tinda, there's another vegetable which also needs to be separated out. So this is another table where we need to see if children can do classification, can they sort out things, can they sequence things, all things that we need little children to be able to do so that they're able to do this in school. So here you can see lots of interest, lots of excitement, everyone watching and moving from table to table, people waiting for their turn as well. At the coloring counter, people are coloring the drawings. Both mothers and children absolutely love coloring here. And they probably think the ground below the table is more stable. So that's why the paper is on the ground so that they can color what they've been given properly. And here there are some animals and birds that have to be identified, some letters, some straws that need to be arranged, some pictures we need to talk about, identify things in those pictures, lots around language development. And here we come to the end of the mela where we see this sarpanch has actually stayed on, and he's here to give the gift, the parting gift, which is a book of activities, where we are saying that children and their parents can do a lot more at home. Having done things here, there are lots of similar games that are in this book that they can continue with at home. And there's also like a certificate and appreciation for having come and participated here in the Mela. And just before we go, here's a grandmother who's really curious. She's like, what is this about? Why am I not participating? So we're telling her what all of this is about. And we know, we see, and we say that big change requires everyone. So grandmothers, mothers, parents, teachers, everyone needs to be on board so that we get our children absolutely ready for school in a month's time. So that was a Mela, which we've been doing across the country in different states where we partner with communities and partner with governments. It's a familiar format where we try to open out what early years are about, what learning is about, what should children be ready with when they're entering, before they enter grade 1, and for all of us to help with that. So here we see that, with a lot of appreciation for this format, the Nipun Bharat document also quotes us here and describes the Mela. They call it a Nipun Mela because their document is called Nipun Bharat. But they describe right here, you can see they've, they've attributed the source of this concept to us. And they've talked about how it's really useful to do with communities in the early years. Not only has the Nipun Bharat document talked about the Mela, but in one of the states, we are in partnership with entire state governments in 5 states. But in Maharashtra, there's a unique partnership here where actually the government came forward and said, let's do this with mothers and children who are going to enter grade 1 across all government schools of Maharashtra. So here, this was launched last year. Smitin has been leading this across the state, and seeing the overwhelming response, we had a launch this year as well. And here you can see a snapshot of the Mela and the education minister acknowledging the success and actually releasing everything for the 2nd year of a program that they call Pahle Paul. These are some of the materials that were created in Maharashtra with the government. So there's a handbook which we created with the government teachers and faculty there, which we said we need to give in all the Melas across Maharashtra. And we've been reaching more than 600,000 mothers through this in Maharashtra, and thousands of volunteers have joined us to help us to organize this Mela and make it a success across the state. So that was a snapshot about the Mela, the School Readiness Mela, that is sort of a trigger for everything that mothers can do with us. And it's been amazing each time, the excitement and the energy that we see with children, with volunteers, with our own people, with the government, while we are trying to do this. And where it's possible, for example, in a state like Maharashtra, we move forward to try to use this as a stimulus to create mothers groups and work further with mothers across the state. So we create one way of engaging with mothers is through the Mela. Another way of engaging with them, having done the Mela, is through mothers groups. And in some states, we also try to see whether we can do workshops. Schools try to organize workshops with mothers on certain themes that are very important for them. And across, like during COVID and even now, one thing we've learned is the connect with the mother is very important. We do this through WhatsApp messages, through SMSs, to stay in touch with the mother, share some activities with her so that she can actually do it with children. Using local resources, using simple ideas, we try to stay in touch with mothers of our young children and engage with them in different ways. So I'll hand over now to Smitin to talk a little more about mothers groups. We create this in our communities where we work directly, but also in Maharashtra, we're doing this in partnership with the government. So over to you, Smitin, if you can tell us what mothers groups are all about.
Thank you very much, Samyukta. I think this the walkthrough of Mela was very helpful, and as you could understand that this is an event that has been introduced by Pratham teams. We tried it in our own Hamara Gaon communities first, and then once we, learned a lot of, things in this process, we tried to share the idea through government systems, schools, teachers, etc., to spread and scale that idea towards, across the country. And as you can see that, Government of India has recognized in their document, many state governments are approaching Pratham and, asking help in spreading this idea. But the whole point is that, uh, the one is that, yeah, this Mela and event creates, it's a trigger to, you know, for a further action. Okay, yes, we have now understood with all these activities and, simple to do things, uh, the points that Samyukta had explained us. I think mothers get to know that, okay, my child is a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. The child is supposed to enter formal schooling, but at this stage, he or she is hesitating the, telling the name of yeah, themselves. So I think, so this, information that my child can't recognize colors, yes, good at, jumping, but need to sit for longer period if she or he is going to join a full-time school. So I think this is a trigger where mothers understand that, we need to work upon, help children to become school ready. And then I think that's the point where we as organization, teachers, schools, preschools, anganwadis, try to help these mothers. So in order to help this mother, I think what we have come up with, this particular idea of forming mothers group at hamlet level, at settlement level, where, it's like a neighborhood community, extended families most of the time in Indian context. So they come together, they form this group, they select one of them as a leader mother. uh, Leader is important because she, first of all, she has access to smartphone where we can send the material content to that particular leader, and then she can just, as you can see in the photograph, that, every group try to meet once in a week, let's say for half an hour, discuss what is there in the idea video that we are sending to them, try to conduct activities in this particular meeting. First they try in the meeting, then they try with their children. So I think this is the process that we have evolved with, and the teachers, schools, and many governments are liking this idea. So like Samyukta was telling us, Maharashtra government has said that, we want to scale it up and we want to use this supportive mothers group from in the community outside of school, for everything that we do in the early years. So um, I think the point is, uh, it's very important to, yes, to strengthen the schools, anganwadis, preschool, to make it more productive, improve quality inside the class. But at the same time, it is equally important to create a conducive learning environment, around that school and around that preschool centers. So these ideas, like for example, conducting melas, conducting, forming these mothers groups, helping us to create that, learning environment. For example, uh, in generally in early childhood education, the people use many jargons, like, we have a very big words, cognitive development, early stimulation, all these are like big words. But if you go to the group of such young ladies and try to explain them by using these, and uh, if you get to know the Hindi words and, Indian words, they are more difficult, more complex. So if we can reach out to these mothers groups and tell them exact activity in a simple manner, that so that, first of all, it should be simple enough to do. Secondly, they should be able to do it while they are, doing their daily chores, kind of thing. So we are trying to empower this group by providing ideas, demonstrating activities, and we have tried this, we have evaluated this particular idea in many different geographies. We have seen that, mothers groups, when they come together, become more power, and they try to help each other. Um, Coming together and forming a small group has been tried in microfinance, but this particular example of forming groups for educating children, for supporting children, I think this is one of the very unique thing that we have tried, and people are appreciating that we need to scale this up, we need to take it on scale. So this also helped to overcome with the issues of lack of access to digital technology. So if you can see that if they're using a share, sharing a technology, some like many, although the penetration is increasing, but you can see the women in the house do not have access to smartphones. All women do not have access to smartphones. So they are trying to come up with a solution that if one of the mother has access to smartphone, they're trying to come together and meet once in a week and uh, uh, understand and try many things. So I want to show you something, how exactly this is happening, what we are trying to send. So maybe I would like to display the screen. Yeah. So it's a small clip that I want to show you. This is one of the, it's a glimpse from the ideas that we are sending to these mothers. So let's look at this.
Let us
Hear
sit
this?
in a circle and put a table in the center. Find some household items and place some items on the table and under the table. Now, mothers in the group must take the name of one item and answer in a sentence to whether the item is on or under the table.
So this is one of the activities they're supposed to conduct in the group meeting. Now I want to show you how exactly mothers do it.
खुर्चीच्या वरती पावडरचा डब्बा आहे. बॉल टेबलच्या खाली आहे.
So they're trying to enact the activities that are being shared by these idea videos. Then gradually they try these activities with their children at home, in the meeting. So they're trying to replicate the idea.
Pencil on the table. Bowl is on the table. Pen is on the table. टेबल के ऊपर बुक है. टेबल के ऊपर टिफिन है. टेबल के ऊपर पेन है.
So the point is that we are trying to right now we are focusing on helping building children's literacy, numeracy, all those skills. But today when I met a wonderful groups, I've been traveling, so I've met more than 10 mothers groups today. uh, One of the mothers group has you know explained and taught their children how to sit properly, how to play. So there are a lot of things that mothers are trying to help children learn. And school readiness does not mean only academic readiness. Okay, it's like social skills. They need to stay away from mother and family for certain period. I think they're trying to build these capacities among children. So these are, so the idea is that strengthening this mothers group, helping each other. We have evaluated this idea in many geographies. We have seen that those who have access to smartphone, those mothers who have at least attended primary schooling and beyond, they make definitely a difference at their level. But if she is a part of a group, she is making more difference. So the brown bar is the outcome of children's development as far as their physical skills, social emotional skills, language and pre-math skills are concerned. You can see in every bar uh, the outcomes are more where mother is engaged in the a group in the neighborhood community. So that's how we are trying to advocate. That's how we are trying to make it more effective and um, replicable, scalable. So that's it. I think we can go to the next slide. And like Samyukta has already mentioned that government of Maharashtra has scaled this up. We have we're working in 70,000 villages across Maharashtra. They have formed more than 263,000 uh, groups, and you can see that these are all communities and mothers coming together and trying to help their children and create. They're trying to change the environment, learning environment at their home. So. Uh, on this Mother's Day, I think this, recognizing the efforts of these mothers who are change makers, I think that's very crucial. We can go to the next slide. In order to keep these groups motivated, I think, we have learned that, we need to create a healthy competition among these groups. So therefore, bringing those groups to school or Anganwadi once in a month or 2 months, um, conducting variety of activities with them, play with them, listen to their experiences is very crucial. And therefore, we are trying to build this idea further, and we're trying to federate it so that it sustains and it works without even Pratham's support in the future. So we're trying to learn how to keep the groups motivating and functional. Next slide, please. In the pandemic, this was started in the March 2020, 2020, where we started sharing the video resources that we have created in Pratham Early Childhood Program. Uh, uh, on the digital platform of Pratham, we have provided more than 3,000 resources in 11 Indian languages. We're trying to disseminate this idea on a regular basis to parents, teachers, educators, policymakers, so that they disseminate on their level. So this is also one of the way that we're trying to help mothers to understand variety of ideas and then follow at home. Next. I think the last point that I wanted to explain is it's very important to work inside the class. It's very important to invest inside the Anganwadi, preschool, and school. But at the same time, it's very important to reach out to the community, empower them, help them understand what they can do in the process of children's learning, and then see the magic. And I think that is how we are excited to see how these mothers are playing very important and life lasting impact that they're trying to make in their children. We also have variety of activities that we conduct inside the class, but we are not going to talk about it today. We will definitely discuss it sometime later, but today that's what we both wanted to share about how we are trying to empower these mothers groups, and we are also learning from them. They are also demanding variety of things that they want to do. Today, I'll end with this example from my today's visit. One mother said that she has done some nursing course, but because she had to left the city and now she's residing in a very remote area, she said that I'm just busy handling these 3 kids, and I'm unable to use my knowledge somewhere. So I requested her that why can't you share how to take care of children's health, how to give your knowledge to other mothers in the community. And she was so excited that yes, if I can do it, if you all provide this platform, I'll be happy to do it. And then after listening this, some other mother came and said that okay, she want to teach other mother as tailoring. So I think they themselves also have a lot of skills that they can share with each other. So it should not be the case that we are the only ones who has knowledge and we will be sharing, but it should be a real partnership between mothers and between Pratham and mothers. So that's it. Samyukta, you want to say something at this end?
No, thank you.
Thank you so much, Smitin and Samyukta. That was fantastic. And Samyukta, who knew Tinders can be so much fun also, or you can have fun with it, right? That's my takeaway. But no, thank you so much. This was really, really insightful. I'm going to dive into the Q&A now, and I encourage anybody who has questions to come off mute or raise your hand or put it in the chat box, whatever you feel comfortable with. I do have 2 questions already from the audience, so I'm going to ask the first one. The first question, Samyukta and Smitin, is can you reflect on how have things changed from when you first started working with mothers to now?
Okay.
Smitin,
Shall I
that's
go
for
ahead?
you.
Yeah. Okay. It's very interesting question, Radhika. I exactly asked this question few days ago to many, many mothers. So one mother group has, they have many, many answers, but one answer that have, taken my, yeah. So I was asking this, since last 6 months you are being part of this group and, doing many, many things. What, what are the things that have got changed? So mothers were telling, that, my child did not, the child could not recognize certain things. Now the child is able to do. But one mother that told me that, few months ago when I started coming to this group and meeting mothers, doing activities, my mother-in-law and my husband said that, it's a waste of time. Why are you doing this? But after doing continuous effort, taking continuous effort with this group for last 6 months, uh, today when I came to this meeting, my husband and my mother-in-law said, "Oh, no, you are doing wonderful thing, meaningful things, and tell us how can we help." So I think that change is also very important to recognize that she's doing something meaningful. She's contributing in children's learning and education journey. Uh, that mindset change, if we can bring, that is also very crucial. So that's what I feel. Yeah, Samyukta.
Yeah, actually, you answered the second question that I have, Smitin, but I'd love for you to sort of, expand that on a little more, because this is definitely a question that I've been asked by a lot of the donors that I meet, is how do other stakeholders and community members, like fathers and extended family members, right, respond to this activity? Do they support this and actively encourage it, or do they have the hesitations that, you were mentioning about just now?
I have many examples, so I always use examples to answer the question. This another meeting in Aurangabad district of Maharashtra when I was in the rural area and talking to many mothers. A school teacher told me that, I want you to meet my mother's group. So I went there. The group of young ladies, mothers with their children were waiting for me. All, pallus were there, and all were waiting and aptly answering the question. Somebody told them, yeah, these are the people who send you the idea videos. Okay, whatever you want to question them, please question. So as soon as they got to know that this is the person who is sending us, they started demonstrating many things. Last week you send a video for, let's say small and big. So Sonu, please demonstrate. And Sonu was demonstrating. Pinky, please demonstrate how you seriate the things as per the size. So I think they were trying to do that, but I was observing many other things that you know uh, that were motivating me. A husband of that particular leader mother, Sujata, was serving a tea to us. Okay, Sujata and group was sitting, but her husband was serving a tea to us. It is very unusual picture. It is completely unusual picture. So if we would have said that this is a parents group, okay, Sujata definitely were taking effort, but this meeting, Sujata's husband would have been there, and Sujata, would have been making tea for us. I think that's first thing that what we are realized that, we are recognizing their effort. First, yes, you are the one who is changing things, but we are also trying to help mothers understand, you're not the only one. Okay. You're not the only one, because in Indian context, we say that, Durga is the avatar of a Stree, and Durga has 10 hands. So we are trying to imbibe the things, you can do multitasking, but we need to understand that, there are other players in the family. For example, grandmothers can tell stories to your children. Okay. And that makes sense and that improves a lot. So I think through these idea videos and group discussion, we are bringing these aspects also, where we are trying to help these mothers to understand, you can take help from others. You should take help from others. And then that, we're trying to bring in grandparents, husbands, siblings, and we are giving ideas and activities purposely to engage these people. Like, for example, we have given one of the activity that, talk to your father, interview your father in front of your mother. Okay. So do it. I think we are trying to bring the balance between this and we're trying to change the stereotypes in the gender inequality aspect. But yes, it's a long way to go. Yeah. But Samyukta, you want to add at this stage?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, I think, with all our efforts, we basically want to value what mothers bring to learning. Young children spend maximum time with their mothers, with caregivers, but with their mothers. And there's so much they can do to support the child, but also in learning. So quite often people think, I mean, the mother may be focusing on the nutrition of the child, but she can help with the education. And it doesn't matter how educated she is, she can still help with the education. So I think opening that out is a big part. So when the mother and the child come, everyone in the village wakes up and says, what is this event where the mother has been invited? Everyone's really curious, because when there's a big meeting, generally it's the men who go to the meeting, not the women. And here there's some, everyone's wondering what's happening, which is very exciting to see in the village, because all the men come to watch what's happening. And how come, where is this event where I'm not invited? So I find that particularly exciting. And the value, I think it's all about valuing what mothers do. They do it anyway, but what they actually do. Yeah.
I agree, Manoj. Turning of tables is actually the right phrase for it. I see a hand up. Maggie, you have a question.
Yes, thank you. I think it's really clear to me to see how just being in community with other mothers has been very empowering for the mothers groups and all of the programming. So I'm kind of curious, just from visits to the groups, have you found that mothers are inspired to then go further and create their own activities, take initiative and share with other moms, and just sort of take it a step further and create on their own as well?
Samyukta, are you going? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, in our experience, yes, I think mothers are very creative with what needs to be done. And the mothers groups activities are often a mix of what we want to talk with mothers about and then what they can do with their children. And both bring out many aspects of mothers, which one doesn't otherwise get to see. Often she's, stuck in this role, this perception of people. And here one gets to see, let's say, whether it's about childhood experiences or songs or games that they played. So, for example, at the beginning, while we may tell you to play a game, sometimes we say, do you remember a game from school or from childhood? And then they begin to play that. Sometimes they go further with other activities that they think they can do. And one often sees that variety and creativity depending on which mothers groups we are with. In the same community, different groups have a there's a dynamic of its own. Mothers also often try to push for more things that they'd like to know. So for example, they one of the things and this happened during COVID, was to say, can you teach us how to open a link? Because the school seems to be sending everything on a link and we don't know what this is about, or I remember one group in Delhi where I said, if you can't meet, sometimes they don't have time. So I said, let's do a WhatsApp call. And they said, what's that? And then they did and it was really exciting because they were all in their homes and then they did this WhatsApp call. So there's, I think it also opens the door to things that they want to learn. So activities for children, yes, but also many things that they are curious about.
So therefore, in the idea video, Maggie, I think we have introduced one section based on this demand that, we want to learn something new. Okay. And we have mapped that and we have understood that mothers want to understand more about digital skills. They want to learn more skills, how to use YouTube for finding a, good rhyme or story. So at one hand, you can say that this is a very directly connected with the child's learning. But on the other hand, she's learning how to handle the digital device. We introduced how to use the microphone for instead of typing, just speak and say. This was such a hit idea that across country mothers said, oh, we didn't know this. We do not have to be educated to use the technology. Okay. So I think these are very interesting experiences that we are coming up with, and they are now demanding, like Manisha, you asked, I think curriculum is now shifting. It's like, it's till day, I think last couple of years, we have been deciding at center that, this is the curriculum for Mother's Idea video. Now I think the time has changed, that mother have said that we want to learn something new. We also want to teach you rather than just, keep learning from you. So I think it should be a two-way process for us. So this is my insight from my today's visit, that, we can't be just one way like school, okay, syllabus and textbooks like that. So how to make that highway as a two-way, that is what the challenge is now we have to work on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Smitin. In true Pratham style, as we say, learning never stops, right? And learning is a two-way street. So thank you so much. Those were all the questions. I encourage anybody who has any other questions to come off mute. And, we still have 2 more minutes for the Q&A that we had allotted. Great. That means it was a fantastic presentation and it was very clear. And we have a lot of takeaways, I'm sure, Smitin and Samyukta. So thank you for being here. I know it's really late and you're both traveling, you're on the field, but this has been very insightful for everybody present here today, I'm sure. As you can see, great strides have been made. We can see how critical and transformative this work is on a child's learning outcomes. And, we need to continue this, and to be able to continue our work with mothers, we definitely need your support. So I'd just like to remind you that if you've been inspired by the presentation today about our work with mothers and young children, we would very much welcome donations of any size to help Pratham continue our impactful work with mothers through our large-scale partnerships with government. There's particularly a strong need and a funding gap currently with mothers across Haryana, Maharashtra, and Punjab. If you'd like to make a donation today, please, I'm sharing a link in the chat box. You can copy that and use that link to make any contributions and gifts. Lastly, I just want to remind all the attendees that we will follow up with a short survey post the webinar with an email. And we'd really appreciate your responses so we can continuously improve and continue working on our webinar experiences and learning opportunities that we are bringing to our donors. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate the attendance today. And thank you again, Smitin and Samyukta, for joining us and the lovely presentation around moms.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Everyone. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.